In 2004, a novel about the character Dexter was published. 2 years later, it became one of the biggest shows the world would ever see.
Maybe if I don't blink, my eyes will tear up. I hate this.
But it wasn't just a TV hit. No, it became bigger than most of your favorite shows. But why and how and what does Dexter have to do with any of this? Today, we're going to break down how Dexter will never be replaced. Now, to understand why this show was even aired in the first place, we need to go back to 2004, where Jeff Lindsay first published his novel about the character Dexter.
And the idea just popped into my head that serial murder is not always a bad thing.
The book was called Darkly Dreaming Dexter, where we first met
Dexter.
From the surface, he looked like an average man, working a job at Miami Metro as a blood spatter analyst.
Where the hell you been?
Crime scene?
But beneath the surface, we would begin to see a dark side of him that not many people would see.
Night. Good for the hunter, bad for the hunted.
The dark side was that he was a serial killer, but he wasn't the usual serial killer as he had a code. More on that later. The novel quickly gained attention for its dark humor and the fascinating twisted character of Dexter.
The one thing that I think that they don't fully capture in the TV show is the sense of humor that's in the books.
You want a hug?
Fuck off.
Just 2 years later, Showtime saw the potential to bring this unique story to life on the screen, and that's when Dexter Morgan went from the pages of a book to one of the most talked about TV shows of the decade.
Yeah, fine, I'll meet you. You got a favorite bar? Yeah, I know it. Order me a rum and coke. I'll be there in 10.
Now, as I explained before, the show's main character was Dexter. In the first episode, we get to see his two sides, but we also begin to hear his thoughts, every single one.
Just like me. Empty inside. What do I know about abuse? The code of Harry, I'm sure I would have committed a senseless murder in my youth.
And that's where the show grabs you as you begin to feel for Dexter. The usual show that has a serial killer makes you hate the killer, but Dexter is different. You begin to understand that he's not killing because he's a bad guy, but because he wants to kill the bad.
I will not kill my sister. I will not kill my sister.
You see, when he was young, his mother died with him in a shipping container filled with blood. He was then found and adopted by Harry Morgan, who would become a very important figure in Dexter's life. But Dexter realized that the world was not fair, which is not surprising, but most importantly, the person that killed his mother in the shipping container wasn't punished at the time, which is where he started having thoughts and urges about killing bad people.
Son, there are people out there who do really bad things, and the police can't catch them all.
You're saying they deserve it?
Now, Harry, being the loving stepfather, gives Dexter a code, a set of rules that could help him control his urges. He taught him to channel his darkness in a way that only targeted people who deserved it, which were usually the ones that escaped justice.
It was me. The idea of a code was one thing, a grand idea, but the reality of it. Harry walked in on what he created, and he couldn't live with himself.
With this code in mind, Dexter began navigating the world differently. He learned to blend in, living a normal life working at Miami Metro alongside his sister, Deborah Morgan. She might be normal to anyone, but she was a big part of why we see Dexter with a human side.
Dad would be so proud.
Deborah was always a great sister to Dexter, even though her childhood was in a way difficult. While she worked hard and tried to be a good kid, it's clear that Harry placed more focus on Dexter, recognizing something in him that needed more guidance.
You okay, Dad?
I did the right thing in training you.
Deborah sometimes felt overlooked, which made her independent, but it also deepened her bond with Dexter in its way. For Dexter, this favoritism gave him a structure and purpose, while Deborah's presence reminded him of family and what it meant to care for someone. Dexter's first real personal challenge was in the form of family. You see, I mentioned earlier about Dexter being in a shipping container with his dead mother. Well, beside him was his brother, Brian Moser, who would later become known as the Ice Truck Killer. Every episode, he left clues for Dexter to figure out whether that was in his house,
In fact, I think this is a friendly message, kind of like, hey, wanna play?
or at his job.
But there's nothing more frustrating than putting a puzzle together and finding that it still doesn't make sense.
He was always there, and not in the shadows. He was actually there as Rudy Cooper, a prosthetist that began dating Deborah Morgan only to get closer to Dexter. Now, just like Dexter, Rudy basically had a double life, a prosthetist by day and a serial killer by night. As Dexter got closer to understanding who this mysterious killer was, he found out that it was his brother, Brian Moser. The situation became even more personal and dangerous when Brian abducted Deborah, forcing Dexter to track him down before it was too late. Every step of the way, Dexter had to rely on his skills and the code of Harry to anticipate Brian's moves. The final move wasn't just about stopping a killer, it was about saving his sister from a man that thought she was the barrier for Dexter and Brian to be brothers. In the end, Dexter killed Brian to stop him from harming anyone else, including his sister.
Your life is a lie.
This moment marked the end of the Istra killer and showed how Dexter balanced his moral code with the need to protect his family, even though Deborah was his stepsister. To Dex, she was family, and that's all that mattered. Not every challenge Dexter faced came from killers like Brian. Some of the hardest tests came from people closest to his normal life. Detective James Dokes was always suspicious of Dexter, watching him, questioning everything he does, and getting closer to discovering his secret.
I'm watching you, motherfucker.
Nowadays, we understand that Dokes wasn't just a threat. He was relentless and was noticing things about Dexter that no one else did.
You getting goddamn hard on there, Morgan?
His suspicion forced Dexter to stay careful and constantly aware that one mistake could expose a secret. Now, Rita, in contrast, represented the normal life that Dexter could never fully have. Being with her forced Dexter to act like a normal person and navigate emotions he usually kept buried. But why am I comparing Dokes to Rita? Well, you see, Dexter, while having relationship issues with Rita, got involved with his new obsession, Lila. Her presence added another task for Dexter to manage on top of everything else. Because of all of this, Dexter was stretched to his limits. This combination of pressure and chaos eventually led to the death of James Dokes, but Dexter didn't kill him. Even though Dokes was always onto Dexter, it was actually Lila that ended the character.
No wonder he is so shut down.
What are you? His accomplice?
I'm his soulmate.
Dexter wasn't expecting everything to spiral the way it did. Rita, as always, was his comfort, a reminder of normal life in the middle of all the chaos. But with Lila's interference, the situation with Dokes resolved itself in a way Dexter hadn't planned, but it was one less problem off his shoulders, even if it came in the most unexpected way. Every time I go on TikTok, I always see 4x12, and you might have also seen this, because this is the tragic episode where Rita passes away. As I'm writing the script, I'm getting the chills because this is an episode that truly hits you. Rita was basically Dexter's anchor and his connection to a normal life. When Dexter finds her body in the bloody tub, he is stunned, and for the first time, his carefully controlled world feels completely out of control. When he's out of the house carrying his son, he keeps saying,
"It was me."
which means that he didn't kill her, but he blamed himself for not killing the Trinity killer sooner. This is genuinely one of the most tragic moments in TV show history, not just because it's sad, which it is, but we basically grew up with Rita and we saw her die. For Dexter, it's not just a personal loss, but it was the collapse of a life that he had been trying to build. Truly sad. Now, I'm sure you've seen this meme before.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Whether if it's from memes
All rise, motherfucker.
or just by being alive during this era. But this meme never really had an era, as it's always been popular, whether that was from Vines in 2014 or TikToks in 2020. And that was one of the things that Dexter was good at. No, not just creating memes, but being unique. When do we ever get to hear what a makeshift serial killer is thinking at an exact moment?
My father taught me one thing above all others.
It's almost as if we are Dexter himself. His narration wasn't just yapping constantly, there was always two sides of him talking, and that's what makes Dexter so unique. But you might be thinking, well, Joe Goldberg from the show You does the same thing. Well, the difference is that Joe's narration feels more like he's trying to justify himself to the audience as if he wants us on his side. You see, Dexter never cared about that. His thoughts were always dark, sometimes funny, sometimes horrifying, but always raw. Pause. He wasn't sugarcoating his darkness, which made it feel more authentic, and that's really why Dexter stood apart. He looked like an average man, but he will always be remembered for his work.